We're back. I'm visiting with Ken Berry, former All-Star and manager and coach in baseball. Kenny, before the break, we were talking about the possibility of you making a few comments on the book that I wrote. I know after you wrote it, you called me and you said, "Hey, Brick, this is the Bandit." And I thought, oh, it's got to be that guy that steals all those daggone home runs. I know who that is. So he said, "This is a Bandit." And then you started talking about a few of the things in the book. So you might share with us a little bit of your opinion on that. And then I'd like to get into, you're an author yourself, and talk about the books that you've written.
Well, the first thing I did when I read your book, I got in on page 1 or 2, and you talked about how your family was not real well off financially, and that either you or your brother, I think it was you, had a tie tack, but you didn't have a tie. Your brother, your brother had a money clip, and he didn't have any money.
That was our Christmas present one year.
Yeah, exactly. And I reminded me of my dad and mom. My dad worked for the state, and I think his salary was like $300 a month, and his house payment was $30 a month. We had a little house that right now I'm in a new neighborhood in Topeka. It's really nice. I got a $2 million house across from me and south of me, and I'm the smallest house on the block. I think it was. If Slattery was around, he'd say it was a smart move on my part, getting a smaller house.
That's right.
But this little house is only 6 blocks from where I grew up.
Wow.
So it was a 30 by 30, 900 square foot house. And, we just, you made do with what you had. And I appreciated the fact that, you started out very competitive when you're growing up. I did the same thing. The first game I ever played was right across the street. I could hit a baseball from here. If I had 2 swings, I could hit it right where we played. It's where the Discovery Center is. And the first game I played, and you talk about competitive, okay? This is going to describe how competitive is to me. I'm pitching. They had these little short benches that you sat on, wood bench. So pop up, goes over to the right first base side. I run off the mound, dive, catch a ball, and cut my chin open. And they take me to the emergency room, stitch me up, bring me back, and I pitch the last inning. So, what's the big deal? Just a little, got to just wipe that blood off and go get them.
That's it. That's it.
So, that's kind of the old school mentality where, and a lot of the things that I saw in your book had to do with hard work, paying off, starting with a great foundation, and then that'll hold your house up strong and straight, whatever your house consists of. And the fact that, everything's not gonna be hunky dory all the time. There'll be a lot of, and this is the one thing that I don't think there are a lot of people that are able to do it. But if you're in sports, and you grow up in sports, girl, boy, I don't care, and you stay with it, you understand what it takes to become a better person. Not only interacting with other people and making good friends and competing, but yet respecting the other team, for what they did. There's situations like right now, my little granddaughter, and she's not that little, she's 5'6", 8th grader. They have a team in Kansas City that you would not believe. They've got 2 girls, one 6'1", one 6 foot, another one 5'10", a couple other ones that can play, and 2 point guards. They're beating teams 59-6. And these girls, I went down to watch them the first time. And this one girl got a rebound. She's left-handed. She took off. She dribbled off toward the basket, away from the basket, took 2 dribbles, saw her buddy on the way down, and off the dribble threw a baseball pass right on the money, who caught it and laid it in. And I'm going, they don't do this in high school.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and watching them was so much fun that and the nice thing, and I told the coach, I only got to talk with him one time. We were leaving between games. He wasn't doing the JV game, and he was just happened to be standing within 5 feet of me. And I kind of leaned over and said, "Hey, you're doing a great job of coaching. I like what you're doing with the girls are passing the ball and nobody's being selfish and everything." He says, "I wouldn't have to really do much coaching with this team." I said, "Yeah, but you're doing a great job getting them." And they don't even think twice about throwing the ball to the other person. So,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah. That unselfishness.
yeah,
I,
exactly.
yeah, I found, perseverance and resilience. If you've got that, you can do about just anything you want to do. And that's
Exactly.
some lessons I learned that in high school. I had some things in the book about different things that I learned in high school. And our principal at the time, he was a little priest, tiny little guy with a big voice, and he was tough, but he always talked about resilience. And
Yeah.
it kind of drilled that into our heads. And then you have to be resilient. And if you are, you're always going to make the best of a situation.
Well,
So
I think one of the things that hit me, and I saw it through your book too a couple of times, is being able to adjust. Uh, when I played football at rural, we were we had two guys on the line that weighed 119 pounds. Okay, so that's not really good. So our coach, we did the trick plays. We did the one that I talked about. We had another one that all we did was run 3 single wing plays to set up a pass. And everything we did was a little bit of either a pass or tricky. And we, like I said, had a pretty good year. Well, then I've got Bryce Stallard, who's the basketball coach, and he saw that we didn't have much talent. And you're right. I shot in high school. I shot a lot, but I'd give it up too. But we had Ron Paradis,
yeah,
who went to K-State and was a
yeah,
really good shooter.
yeah,
And Delby Lewis was a point guard for KU.
yeah.
They were both freshmen.
Oh, wow.
If they'd been sophomores or juniors, then I would have been blessed with having a team that
Yeah.
possibly go to the state tournament. Well, after they got rid of me, then they won the state tournament. So, obviously I was a drawback. But this coach, he saw that we are limited. So what he did right before we started the tournament is he went into a stall against Osage City. Gary Marriott went to Osage City. He was 6'5". We didn't have anybody we played against that was 6'5", especially guys that could go out and shoot from 18 feet on in.
Mhm.
He averaged over 30 points a game, and we'd always get beat by 15. So he gets us out of class when school's over. He said, "Take your shoes off, go stand out there. You go here, you go here, go here." So I'm standing on the point, got 2 guys on the wing, 2 guys on the baseline. And he said, "Now this is what we're going to do. We get the ball. Kenny, you're going to hold it until the quarter's over, and then you're going to shoot it. And if somebody comes out after you, throw it to one of the other guys, and then you guys give it right back to him." So we did this. The score at halftime was 4-2. We were losing. The score with 30 seconds to go was 8-7. We were down by 1 and had the ball. And of course, I'm sure yours truly threw up a bomb and missed, and Marriott got fouled, and we lost 10-7.
Oh,
But what I learned from both of those coaches was, hey, you don't have to keep running into the wall and hurt your head, and the wall doesn't move. Do something different. Don't be afraid. So that probably, for me, coaching wise, made more difference in my coaching career than anything.
Yeah.
And that's where, like, I put Graybeck hitting 4th.
Yeah.
And if we have time, I have one other little story, and I'll be done.
Sure. Let's do it.
I get released. I come home, middle of 1975. My buddy, who's got a Elevation Farms, you may have been by there, out off of 47th, just west of Watermaker Road, right by that little schoolhouse on the corner. You go east about a quarter mile. He owned half of that area over there. His kid and my older boy are playing on the baseball team out at the Ken Berry League. So I go back and I go out to watch him, and he says, Ken, I want you to take over the team. And Dave Palmer was his name, and he talked real slow. And I said, Dave, I said, you want me to help you coach? I said, I'll be glad to do that, but you're the manager. I don't want to run the team. No, you're going to run the team. Okay, so he left that in my hands. We go through the year. We're in 7th place out of 10 teams. We're playing our last game before the tournament. And we had 2 or 3 pretty good pitchers, two good pitchers. And then after that, it was who knows who's going to be able to throw. And so I told the guys, I say, okay, guys, come here. You guys that are 13, you're going to pitch tonight. And the 14-year-olds all went, you got to be kidding me. And so I said, no. I said, here's the deal. If we lose, we'll be in 7th place when the game's over. If we win, we're going to finish 7th. So if it's rained out, we're going to finish 7th. And what I'm going to do is rest you older guys for the tournament so you can pitch the first 2 games. And I'm going to let these guys pitch, and we'll just go out and have a good time and see what happens. So I had one little guy. Everybody's got one of these guys on the team. I call him. I actually wrote a book, and he's the title, Little Bad John. You know, the Jimmy Dean, Big Bad John.
Yeah,
that's the song. Big Bad John.
I remember
it. Well, yeah. Big Bad John said every morning at the mine you could see him arrive. He stood 6'6", 245. Well, Little Bad John, every day when he arrived at the park, he still stood about 5'3", and tiny bounce. His mother was a scorekeeper, and his dad was a highway patrolman, and he didn't play much. He played right field, you know, where there's no man's land out there. Nothing ever goes out there. And he didn't hit very well, and he didn't have a very strong arm, but he had a smile on his face all the time. So first guy pitches, we give up 6 runs. We score 3. Next guy pitches, gives up 5 runs. We score 4. Now it's 11-7 going into the last inning. I said, John, go get him, man. Give him the ball. He goes out there. He struck out the side. He threw a curveball, and he threw so slow the other team couldn't wait on it. And so the game's over, and I pulled him aside. We lost, but I pulled him aside and said, John, where'd you learn to throw that curveball? He said, well, your friend, Jerry, I live his backyard and my backyard match up. I've been working on the curveball all summer long. I said, well, don't ever tell the coach anything. You know, the manager doesn't know. And so, okay, now 3 days later, the tournament starts. We lose a heartbreaker 3-2. We play the next game. We win 5-4, 5-1, whatever. Now we're going up against the Phillips 66ers, who are 18-0. The next game. I said, John, you're going to pitch tomorrow. He says, I am. I said, yep. So get your rest. Thinking it won't do him any good, get his rest or not. So he comes out. We beat him. He struck out 11. They couldn't wait on him. I had my best friend, and he's one of my coaches in basketball, come over to me. His wife got in my face, 2 inches from my face. She says, how could you pitch that kid? He didn't throw hard enough to hit. And I'm going, oh, Nancy, really? So I just wanted for people that are out there that are listening, don't ever, ever think that it can't happen, because it can.
That's a great story.
One of my favorites.
Hey, listen, I want to talk a little bit about your book. I'll hold it up here so people can see.
Okay.
It's called Comeback. It's a novel that you wrote, and you've written some other books. So I just want to talk about you being an author, and maybe tell us a little bit about some of your books, and then why you do it, or I'm sure you do it because you enjoy it. But
how I fell into it.
Yeah.
Well, that's what happened. I fell into it. I'm sitting in my office right now, and I have this is my wife's computer right over here, and then I have a typewriter about 8 feet from me
A
that I've
typewriter?
had for about 50 years, a typewriter that I still use on occasion because her computer gets used quite a bit by her, not by me.
Yeah.
And so I'll use a typewriter. I don't mind. I was pretty good in typing. That's where the competitiveness came in when we used to do our time typing,
Yeah.
and how many words a minute. Well, I was into that. So, and I think my English teacher in school appreciated that I read a book about a book a day. I loved reading books, so I'd always have a book, and I couldn't diagram a sentence or tell you, why you didn't end the sentence with at and things like this.
Yeah.
But he really appreciated me reading, and so I got an A in English, and I sure didn't deserve it, I'm sure. But anyway, you may have to help me, Joe. All right,
Why you got into writing?
Oh yeah. So one night, it was probably around 8:30, 9 o'clock. I walk in our office and I sat down at the typewriter. I put a piece of paper in. I started typing, and I typed Artie the Awesome Apple. And my wife yelled at me from the other room, said, "What are you doing in there?" I said, "Well, you got me. I'm not sure because I didn't come in here to write a story, but I think I just did." And so it turned out to be a resurrection theme about an apple, tallest apple on the tree, beautiful, got red before the other apples because he was the top one, got sun all day long. And the people used to stand down there and point at him and say, "What a beautiful apple." Well, the apple pickers came and they couldn't reach him. So he was stuck up there. And then now winter comes, he shrivels up, falls down, dies. He's laying on the ground. The Bibby kids are in their backyard where the tree is. They say, "There's that awful apple we've been throwing our football at. Let's go get him." And they stomp him, and his seeds go everywhere. And so the next spring, one of the seeds had gotten down in the crack of the ground. Snow covered him up. When it became spring, the weather heated up, an apple tree came up. So that was, I didn't go in there to write a story, let alone a resurrection theme.
That is great.
But that's what happened. So now my wife looks at the story and she says, "This isn't bad." She didn't say it was great or really good, but she says, "This isn't bad." To me, that was like, oh, 4 stars or maybe 5, So I wrote Clyde the Clumsy Camel, Buster the Beaver Who Wouldn't Brush, Barney the Blue Moose, and 3 or 4 others. And, I spent a lot of time going around to people and at businesses and saying, "Would you like to buy $200 worth of these and then donate them to a charity?" And that's what I did for about 2 years. And people would do that. So, and I kind of, I had several stories in my mind that were fictional because my mind is pretty much fictional anyway. But I had this one story, and I haven't done it yet, but I got this idea to do twin snipers because I was watching Fox News and they were talking about all the drugs that were coming across the border. Well, for me, if you knew me well enough, you'd know that I like the good guys to win.
Yeah.
That's why Clyde the Clumsy Camel, who's cross-eyed, gets big glasses and he can see again. Buster the Beaver doesn't brush, but then Dr. Tony, who's Tony Pleviak, was my dentist across the street. I did a big bear, looks just like him. And he gets to floss and brush his teeth. And so anyway, all my characters seem to have a flaw to a certain degree, but they're able to overcome it. So I've got twin snipers. I got this guy that's a helicopter. He flies Blackhawks for the Marines. And he's gone most of the time. And he's a Mexican-American. his family inherited 800 acres right on the Rio Grande. So he's away most of the time, and the drug cartel sees that his farm or his ranch is a good place to cross. So they start coming through. Well, his boys have become snipers. They went in the Marines because he brought a buddy of his home that was a SEAL and got wounded. He brought him home, and he told the boys about his sniper stories. So they decided to go and enlist. And in 2 years' time, they had graduated at the top of their class. They became snipers. So the 3 guys are in Afghanistan. The girls are there by themselves on 800 acres, and the drug cartel starts to come through. So I said, that's going to have to stop. So that's how I came up with that story, just because I was watching Fox News.
Wow. Well, this latest
Comeback.
Yeah, Comeback. This was a fascinating read for me. There's so much baseball in here. And when I was growing up, I loved baseball. I wasn't very good at it, but I loved baseball. And you kind of mixed in reality with fiction. And
I did. Yeah, I tried to make it so that people that were reading it that like baseball would understand, because I think I put the delayed steal in there, and I put some things, and then I put a scenario in the story where Lou Piniella asked me what my philosophy was on hitting, and I'm a rookie, or I'm not, I shouldn't have said me, but anyway, it turns out that it was me. What my philosophy was on hitting. And as a young kid who never played professionally before, I told him, and it describes hitting from, in my mind, to a T. So then along with the story, there's romance in there. There's a little science fiction, and the story has a lot of truth. And like you said, a little fiction in there too. So I enjoyed doing it. In fact, I was working on a murder mystery that's almost done. I'm not going to try to sell it right away, because I don't want to think people are going to think I'm going to come out with a book every 2 weeks to try to sell them. So I got into this one just on a whim, spur of the moment thing, and I started liking it so well. And then Alita made the fatal mistake of saying, I really like your story. That was it. I went ahead and finished it, and it's done.
Well, that's great. Well, now, if somebody wants to buy your books, how would they go about doing that?
Well, they would call me. I would go to the post office after they mailed me a check, and I would send it right out to them.
Okay, so
if they want to take my number down, it's area code 785-633-6837, and the book is 15. And with the envelope, the container it comes in, and the postage, it comes to like $4.50 or something like that. So $20.
$20.
We'll get the book. We'll get it delivered to you. And I had a great time with it, and the feedback I've gotten, even from the women, the feedback has been good. The girls like it too.
Well, I thought it was a fun read, and so I congratulate you on it, Kenny. I just want to tell you how grateful I am that you would spend so much time visiting with us today. It's been so enjoyable, and I consider our friendship something pretty precious. So I do appreciate you being with us, and I hope we stay friends for a long, long time.
I do too, and we especially will if you'll send that $500 you promised me for doing this.
You're going to be waiting a long time, buddy.
I know the mail doesn't come very fast from the Bricks house.
That's right. Oh, give my love to Alita, and you all take care.
Okay.
I will. Thanks, Kenny.
Right. See ya.
Bye.
Bye.